Usually on CarGurus, our focus is on the used market, but today we're going to look at what is very much a new car, a 2018 Audi A6. Unless that is you're watching this a decade from now, in which case this is a used car, and I've got even less hair. Anyway, the purpose of this video is not to do a conventional review of the A6, but instead to focus on the technology it has to offer, because this really is one of the most technologically advanced cars of 2018. Plus, this being an Audi press car, if you look at the specification sheet here, they fitted all the necessary options as well. 20 grand's worth of them, in fact. 20 grand! Our focus today isn't on the price of this technology though, but on what it can do. Now, some of this technology you need to be on the move to enjoy, such as the drivetrain. Now, this is the A6 50 TDI. So that uses a 3-litre V6 turbo diesel, a 48-volt mild hybrid system, and quattro four-wheel drive. That hybrid system recovers energy that's produced when you brake and sends it to a lithium-ion battery in the back of the car. This stored energy can be redeployed for engine off coasting in order to save fuel. So we're driving along at 70 miles an hour, lift off the throttle, and yep, the revs have completely died away. Back on the throttle, revs pick up again. So what does that actually feel like? Well, to be honest, you can't really feel it happening at all. It's so smooth. In total, there are 39 driver assistance systems available on the A6. I'm not going to go through them all now, but what I am going to talk about is cruise assist. So this uses adaptive cruise control to keep me a set distance from the car in front. It's also looking out for speed limits. So the last gantry I went through on this M25 Friday afternoon busy traffic was 60 miles an hour. So the cruise control is set to 60 miles an hour. We're going under one now at 50 miles an hour. So the camera on the car is going to recognize that. There you go. It's come on here. And it's also, I don't know if you can see my head-up display, it's just changed the cruise control to 50 miles an hour. It's also going to slow me down, and it looks like probably stop me in this queue here, and it looks after the steering. So if I have a moment of inattentiveness, it will keep me in my lane. It's not intended to be a fully driverless system. You do still need to keep your hands on the wheel. If you don't, the car will start beeping at you. But as a backup, as something that just helps out in these slightly monotonous Friday afternoon traffic jams, it's brought me to a stop. It's going to get going again. Look, I'm not touching the pedals. It's a really clever system. Just relieves some of the stress out of this kind of driving. Along with the efficiency assist function, the mild hybrid system allows even the V6 diesel to return between 40 and 50 miles per gallon. Now, this car also has the optional air suspension fitted, so the ride really is superb. Plus, it has the optional four-wheel steering. Now, at higher speeds, this means that the rear wheels turn in the same direction as the front wheels to improve stability. But where you really notice it is at low speeds, because here, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction, and that reduces the A6's turning circle by 1.1 meters. It means it really can turn in a surprisingly tight space for a car this big. Oh, getting dizzy. Surprise, surprise, there's technology to help you when it comes to parking too. Now, in time, Audi will release a full park assist function that will allow you to park the car without actually being in it. But for now, you don't just get sensors, no, there's cameras as well. And these cameras can even help produce this 3D image, which is ideal if you want to squeeze through a small gap or park nice and close to a curb like we are doing here. And I can also flick through the various camera views. Those are my front wheels, these are my back wheels, and it just means that you can park this big car without stressing too much about curbing the wheels. Now, if you're only going to have one option, I would recommend going for the technology pack, which combines wireless phone charging and a signal booster in there. It increases the size of this top touchscreen to 10.1 inches, and you get Audi's virtual cockpit digital dial display. Now, that's not a touchscreen, obviously, because that would be dangerous. Instead, you control it through buttons on the steering wheel. This virtual cockpit is a great bit of kit because it's not only useful, but it's also very intuitive. Which is not something that can necessarily be said about this central infotainment system here. I mean, the top one, as with all of these touchscreens, has an awful lot of features, so you're not going to delve too deep into the menus when you're driving, but the main functions are quite clear to access, and the haptic feedback's good. It makes it feel like you're actually pressing proper buttons. It's this lower screen that I think is not ideal. It's used to control the heating, and it's got shortcuts for some of the infotainment functions, but because it's all the way down here, you really have to look down and concentrate in order to find the function you want, and therefore I just find it a bit distracting. To make a lot of this technology work, the A6 needs to know about its surroundings. So Audi says it can have up to 5 radar sensors, 5 cameras, a laser scanner, and 12 ultrasonic sensors. Then there's the optional HD matrix LED headlights, which use data from sensors, cameras, and the sat-nav to light up as much of the road with full beam as possible without dazzling other traffic. Plus, they have an awesome light animation when you lock the car. When you package all of this technology together, the result is undeniably expensive, but also extraordinary, not least because you don't need a degree in computing to operate it. Whether it will seem so advanced in 2028 is doubtful, but for now at least, this new A6 is surely among the most advanced cars in the world.